Welcome back, everybody. This is Mike with Bespoken, coming at you with some very troubling and interesting news. Stay tuned. And we're back. All right. So, as some of you may have known, read, heard about from your friends, North Carolina conducted I think it's a year long sting. They just announced it a day or two ago of local bourbon flippers out in Mecklenburg County. It's a collaboration between Meck ABC, North Carolina's ABC board, as well as local law enforcement. They cited some up to, I believe, 29 private citizen individuals for bringing bottles back over state lines from neighboring states, duty free areas, things like that, and then flipping the bottles on the secondary market. That right there has sent shockwaves through the enthusiast market. Um, Local groups are really tightening the ranks. Local groups that I'm part of have really tightened the ranks because at this point we don't know if it's going to expand past Mecklenburg. I can say there's already a slight uh, tie to the Wake County area, which is where I reside. Right now, let's see, they just announced that they indicted four ABC board members for basically taking bribes, greasing the wheels, trading favors for access to do barrel picks with companies like Sazerac, who's obviously run Buffalo Trace, some of the most sought after bottles that you try to get when you get into bourbon. Right now, we've got, and see me looking away, I apologize, I'm just checking off my notes here. You have Operation High Octane targeting members, 28 warrants issued because bottle flipping, essentially. Everybody knows it's there. There's such thing as a secondary market. There's entire ecosystems built on that. So, what's the reason ABC is going after individuals? Well, it does take a little bit of the sting out of in Wake County, second largest ABC market in the state, with over 222 million in gross sales last year. Uh, our DA, Lauren Freeman, not going after individuals right now, just going against the big dogs. Four prominent Raleigh lobbyists were indicted for allegedly funneling illegal gifts, specifically a high end Kentucky bourbon tour, to state lawmakers. Why would they do that? It's pretty simple. It's all about keeping control, right? We are not a free, privatized, marketed state. We are an ABC state. We are ABC controlled. Um, and that's where it hits home. I'm a part of multiple uh, local bourbon enthusiast groups. Raleigh Bourbon Banter, Bull City Bourbon Club. These are groups that I take some pride in being a part of. Why? We get together collaboratively, help the community by giving back. We do barrel picks that the members of the groups are able to partner with local ABC boards, and the members of the group get first picks. They get a week or so to pick up their bottles typically, and then the market gets them after that. That's to me not unfair. Um, it is something that we in this area have to do to stay quote unquote above board, right? Um, that being said, one of the rules that these groups typically have is if you get a bottle of a pick that's highly sought after, right? Um, they've done legacy picks, they've done craft picks, but say you get that unicorn bottle pick. If you go to sell that bottle, say you don't want it anymore, if you go to sell or you're giving up whiskey, you're going sober, you have, by joining the group, an obligation to offer that bottle back to the group at what that price was when you purchased it. So you're not profiteering off of this bottle. You're not buying it and bunkering it for appreciation. You're obligated to give it back to the group. And if you're ever caught violation of that rule, you're removed from the group. But they take it seriously. You know, we have a reputation as a local group. We want to be above board. ready to go anytime we have the opportunity to pick a barrel that's of interest. So, what's the difference when we follow the rules, right? Um, Mecklenburg is targeting individuals for bottle flipping when you have lobbyists basically going after lawmakers to give favors to keep control of the state and make it harder for us as enthusiasts to find those bottles we so desperately seek. It's almost as if it's a double standard. I am not a fan of the ABC control system, especially as it is here. There's other hybrid ones where the state controls and then it goes to private for retail. But we are 100% state controlled. And then individual boards within the state, often counties or some of the largest cities, they then have their own set of restrictions and rules. Interesting, right? Um, so, how does that affect us? Why is Operation High Octane so important to bourbon enthusiasts in North Carolina? Um, it's clearly industry wide behavior for secondary markets. This local news story that broke literally a day or two ago was echo chambered out and through big industry titans, names like Fred Minnick, one of the largest ones in this industry right now currently, was talking about it. Some of the actual national news media outlets took the local news story and published it out to national audiences. It's clear that the government in the state is going after secondary markets. They view them as a source of detraction. Um, they take away revenue from private citizens, but yet on the back end, they are taking bribes or gifts or, greasing those palms so that they themselves get preferential treatment. It's a double standard through and through, in my humble opinion, at least. Uh, and it honestly, when you have a lack of transparency, whether it comes to where the bourbon is distilled or how it is acquired and purchased, that's where there becomes lack of trust, right? How can we as consumers trust that the board, which is beholden to bylaws, that they sell things at suggested retail pricing and that they have equal access for all parties involved? How are we to trust that they're actually doing that? It's very difficult when you think about it that way. Um, I will say, I, as a bourbon enthusiast, admittedly have paid secondary for bottles before. And if I hadn't, I wouldn't have an opportunity to try them because I'm in a controlled state. Being in a privatized state, you can go anywhere, pay whatever the merchant is trying to sell it to you for, and that's completely legal, right? ABC argues that that is taking away revenue from the community because the ABC board is incentivized to give back to the community. Um, so, what does that mean for us, right? Where do we stand today? Well, I would argue we, as a secondary enthusiast market group, have not taken any money away from the North Carolina ABC boards. If you wanted to make a case that bringing a bottle of Stag back into North Carolina from a neighboring state and selling it for a secondary price is robbing $70 from the ABC board, I'm going to call bullshit. It's just not true. And the reason why I say that is you cannot walk into a North Carolina ABC store statewide and find a bottle of Stag on the shelf. If you don't put it out for sale, we can't buy it. It's just that simple. So how are we robbing you of $70? The argument could be made, well, when we do get it out, you would buy it from us for $70. You're damn right we would. But we don't have that opportunity, do we? You are controlling these sales. You are literally releasing waves of Buffalo Trace, Eagle Rare, E.H. Taylor Small Batch weekly in this area. Some counties hold these bottles for massive lotteries. And all we want as bourbon enthusiasts is access to bottles when they come out. And if we want to pay more for them, That should be our choice as a free market, free citizen of the United States of America. I don't see the flaw in that argument. So if we want to buy something on secondary or travel out of state to acquire a bottle, you, as an ABC board, just want your sales tax. That's what it is. That's what we're robbing you of. That 7.25, whatever your local municipality sales tax is, that's what the state is upset about. They know if you buy that bottle out of state, you're not paying sales tax on it because who claims a single bottle of bourbon on their taxes? Be honest. So at the end of the day, what does that mean for us? Well, less access to bottles. Um, in the last 24 hours, I've seen the secondary market shrivel up like a set of old man's paws out in the cold. That quickly. Entire ecosystems of secondary access dried up if it was based out of this area in North Carolina. Um, you want about a market going underground, even more underground? There you go. You force the secondary buyer to look to even more illicit sources, sometimes sources that are out for negative, outcomes for you, because you, as a control state, are shutting down local trusted groups, going after 28 individuals over a year-long span, and you think that that's improving the community. How? I mean, I could literally type in a quick Google search, and I could find out that there were multiple shootings in this state last night alone. Don't you think law enforcement would be better served protecting and serving that interest versus some 20 some kid driving across state lines, grabbing a bottle he thinks he could flip for shoot times two markup? You think that is a more worthy use of resources? That's my argument against this type of enforcement. There are way bigger fish to fry. We're literally firing missiles and dropping bombs on other countries, and this is where you want to focus your attention on right now when gas is $4 a gallon. Good move. Sounds like the normal state that I'm living in right now, and hits a little home for me, even though it's out in Meck. It fits a little home, or hits a little home for me. So that being said, y'all, I know this is a little bit of a different content. That doesn't mean in this content we aren't going to drink some bourbon, right? Don't worry about what kind it is, because if I told you where I got it, they might come after me. But at the end of the day, y'all, cheers. Keep drinking, keep buying, but do it responsibly. And obviously, let's do it legally, because otherwise, Meck ABC, NC ABC, they're coming for you. Cheers.